Hello YouTube, this is Corbin22 here, back with another 100-point squadron build for Star Wars X-Wing Miniatures. Tonight we focus once again on the Imperial faction, this time taking advantage of three TIE bombers, two of them being piloted by Scimitar pilots, and the leader being Major Rhymer. Now this build is focused on heavy bombardment from a long range. What this build does is it's three TIE bombers, and TIE bombers are known to have the most available upgrade slots for any starfighter in the game. I mean, they can take like a bomb, two missiles, and two warheads. That's quite a lot. Like, these guys are actual legit bombers, like the Y wings. Um, but yeah, this build focuses mainly on attacking at a distance before getting in close and dropping their bombs and then flying away before the bombs cause any damage to them. This build is especially useful with the elite pilot's ability. But we'll get to that right now, actually. So let's move on to their stat cards. Now, this build is quite extensive. The bombers themselves don't cost that much, so I was able to put on a lot of upgrades for these guys in order to maximize their combat capacity. So let's start with the squadron leader of this build, and he is Major Rhymer. Major Rhymer has a pilot skill of 7. He flies the Scimitar Fleet System's TIE Bomber. He has an attack value of 2, an agility value of 2, a hull value of 6, and a shield value of 0. He can take on the Focus, Lock-On, and Barrel Roll actions. He costs 26 squadron points, so he's actually the TIE Bomber is actually quite maneuverable. And he can take on a lot of upgrades. He can take on an elite pilot skill upgrade, 2 warheads, 2 missiles, and a bomb. His ability states, when attacking with a secondary weapon, you may increase or decrease the weapon's range by 1 to a limit range of 1 to 3. So this Major Rhymer maximizes the effectiveness of your secondaries. This means that with this ability, say you're attacking with advanced Proton Torpedoes, they only have a range of 1. With the Major Rhymer's ability, you can increase that range to 2 because of his advanced targeting systems. Well, because of his ability, but we'll just say advanced targeting systems. But yeah, this basically, with this ability, it maximizes all of Major Rhymer's secondaries, and because Major Rhymer has been outfitted with the most amount of secondaries of this build, he's going to be using a lot of them to their maximum potential. So, moving on to the first upgrade I've given him, I've decided to give all the TIE bombers a munitions failsafe, which costs only 1 point, so they're incredibly cheap. And they state that when attacking with a secondary, that instructs you to discard it to perform the attack, and do not discard it unless the attack hits. So with munitions failsafe, despite the numerous amounts of secondaries I have for this group, as long as their attacks miss, then I keep the secondaries until they actually they actually score a hit on the opponent. Because that makes this build even more effective. Because normally when you use a secondary, even if it misses, you discard it because you used it. But with the failsafe, it makes it so that you don't lose the munitions failsafe. So with that said, let's move on to Major Rhymer's various secondaries. For his elite pilot skill, I've given him the squadron leader elite pilot skill. It's a skill that needs to be used during the action phase, so this adds a 4th action to Rhymer's bar. And it states, hang on, if I can get this to focus. Good enough. It states, there we go. Choose one ship at range 1 to 2 that has a lower pilot skill than you. The chosen ship may immediately perform 1 free action. So, this build is capable of flying apart from each other and dealing damage from all angles, but as long as they stay within range 2, at least range 2 of each other, then Major Rhymer's squadron leader card allows each of his Scimitar pilots to take one free action before they move, which can be pretty good. Which can be pretty useful for getting out of sticky situations beforehand, or allowing them to get into a better firing position before they move. Now, for his next secondary, I've given him advanced Proton Torpedoes. They have an attack value of 5. It can be used at range 1. They state, spend your target lock and discard this card to perform this attack. You may change up to 3 of your blank results to focus results. So this is useful if you have both a lock-on and a focus. Actually, you know what? Oh, I've just come up with an alternate build for this. That actually makes it more effective. Yeah, this can work, actually. Okay, I'll explain that later. So, as I said, has attack value 5, can only be used at range 1, and it costs a whopping 6 squadron points. However, Mage Reimer's ability allows me to increase the range effectiveness of advanced proton torpedoes by 1. So I can, instead of attacking at range 1, I can attack these with these at range 2. And if you have a focus token, if you have any blank results with advanced torpedoes, you can change them to focuses, and then you can spend that focus to you can spend that focus to make them hit results. So yeah, if used correctly, advanced proton torpedoes can be quite deadly. In fact, they're meant to be used as a combo with focus and lock-ons. Now, for his second warhead, it's the stress-dealing Flechette torpedoes. They have a lower attack value, and they can be used at range 2 to 3. They state, discard this card and spend your target lock to perform this attack. After you perform this attack, the defender receives 1 stress float token if its hull value is 4 or lower. So as you know with Flechette torpedoes, they're not really as dangerous as most of the other warheads, but they're annoying as hell, because if you have a ship with a hull value of 4 or lower, they are going to get stressed regardless of the Flechette's miss. However, with Major Reimer's ability, this allows me to decrease the range of the Flechettes to range 1, so I can use these at range 1 to 2 or range 2 to 3. So basically, with Reimer's ability, it lets me use Flechettes at any range, regardless of how close or far away I am, as long as I'm within range 3. And yeah, there's that. And then for his third secondary, I'm giving him cluster missiles. Cluster missiles have an attack value of 3. They can be used at range 1 to 2, and they state, spend your target lock and discard this card to perform this attack twice. Again, with Reimer's ability, I'm allowed to either use this at range 1 to 2, or he uses his ability to make this range 2 to 3. So that means, again, with that, if you have any secondaries that have either range 1 to 2 or 2 to 3, Reimer's ability allows you to use them at any range. So this makes Reimer a very, very, very dangerous pilot to go up against. The only disadvantage he has is that he's an anti-bomber, and they're not exactly known for their maneuverability. But they have 6 hull points, and they have an agility value of 2, which is 1 higher than the Y-wing. So there's that going for him. And then, of course, as per usual with every bomber ship, they need a bomb. And with Reimer, I've equipped proton bombs. When you reveal your maneuver dial, you may discard this card to drop 1 proton bomb token. The token then detonates at the end of the activation phase. It doesn't specify what proton bombs do, but I fortunately know what they do. Proton bombs make it so that you drop the bomb, you reveal your maneuver die, you drop your bomb using the 1 template, the 1 speed template, and drop behind you, and then you fly off. At the end of the activation phase, if there are any enemy ships at range 1 when the bomb goes off, they suffer 1 face-up critical damage, regardless if they have shields. So, if you have an X-Wing, and it has 1 shield left, and the bomb goes off and they're in range, they're going to suffer that crit regardless, because the bomb bypasses shields. Which, yeah, in fact, yeah, that makes proton bombs very dangerous. And it's also, they're a powerful weapon to have, and of course, it's only natural that they cost so high. They cost like about 5 squadron points. They cost 1 point less than advanced torpedoes, so, yeah. With the build I have for Reimer, it's a pretty costly build. Now, let's move on to his next pilot. The next pilot I have is a Scimitar Squadron pilot. They have a pilot skill of 2. They fly the Cyanide Fleet Systems TIE Bomber. They have an attack value of 2, an agility value of 2, a hull value of 6, and a shield value of 0. They can take on the focus, lock-on, or barrel roll actions. They cost 16 squadron points, so they are the cheapest TIE Bomber to have. And they can take on 2 warheads, 2 missiles, and a bomb upgrade. Because it's a common pilot, they do not possess any abilities, but that's why we have upgrades for them. So like with Reimer, I've given this guy Munitions Failsafe as well. And then for his weapons, I've given this guy an assault missile. They have an attack value of 4, can be used at range 2 to 3. And they state, spend your target lock and discard this card to perform this attack. If this attack hits, each other ship at range 1 of the defender suffers 1 damage. So, with the assault missiles, it's kind of you fire and then it has kind of a splash effect. You fire the missile, it hits your target, then any other ship at range 1 also suffers a damage along with the target. So, say the target suffers the full 4 damage from the attack value. Any ship at range 1 will suffer just 1 damage after that. So, yeah, like I said, it fires, it explodes, and leaves behind an area of effect, a splash effect, so to speak. So it's pretty useful for dealing with tight groups of enemies. Now for his second upgrade, second warhead, I've given him 2 missiles, and with this missile I've given the Ion Pulse missile. Ion Pulse missiles have an attack value of 3, can be used at range 2 to 3, and they state, discard this card to perform this attack. If the attack hits, the defender suffers 1 damage and receives 2 Ion tokens, then cancel all dice results. So, Ion Pulse missiles are a step up from Ion Cannons and Ion Cannon turrets. They're especially effective against large ships, because large ships require 2 Ion tokens to become disabled. With the Ion Pulse missiles, you fire, they hit, the enemy suffers 1 damage, be it shield or hull, and they receive 2 Ion tokens, which means that they will not be able to move, or they'll only be able to move 1 speed ahead forward for two activation phases. They will still be able to perform actions as normal, but they just won't be able to move. So the Ion Pulse missiles are pretty good for disabling an opponent for the next round, and then setting them up for the rest of the bombers to come around and attack them from vulnerable areas, or just have them run into an asteroid and have them roll for damage. And for his bomb, I've given him a Seismic charge. It says, focus please. It says, when you reveal your maneuver dial, you may discard this card to drop 1 Seismic charge token. The token then detonates at the end of the activation phase. So Seismic charges only cost 2 points, and here's why. Seismic charges are not quite as powerful as proton bombs. Seismic charges, when you reveal your maneuver dial, you drop the Seismic charge token, and then you fly off. At the end of the activation phase, if there are any ships within range 1 of the Seismic charge when it goes off, they suffer 1 damage. That's it, just 1 damage. So if they have shields, the shield takes it, and if they have no shields, then they take 1 face down damage. So still a pretty dangerous card to have, but it's nowhere near as dangerous as the proton bombs. I mean, they're good to have, but unfortunately, with the build I have going on here, I couldn't afford to put on more than 1 proton bomb for this build. So yeah, I had to make do with what I had. And then, of course, for the last wingman, we have another Scimitar Squadron pilot. Has a pilot skill 2, flies the Cider Fleet Systems TIE Bomber. Same stats as the other 2 ships, attack 2, agility 2, hull 6, shield 0. Takes on the focus, lock on, and barrel roll actions. Costs 16 points, and they can take on 2 warheads, 2 missiles, and a bomb. He's a common pilot, so he doesn't have any abilities. But again, upgrades, so that makes everything. He also has a munitions failsafe. And for his upgrades, his warhead, I've given him Proton Torpedoes. They have an attack value of 4 that can be used at range 2 to 3. Hang on. There we go. And they state, spend your target lock and discard this card to perform this attack. You may change one of your focus results to a critical result. So Proton Torpedoes are quite powerful. They have an attack value of 4, which means they can deal out more damage than their primary weapons, even at range 1. And Torpedoes allow you to change one of your focus results to a critical. So that means if you say to have 2 hits and a focus, rather than using a focus to change that to a hit, if you attack with Torpedoes, you can change that focus to a critical for added damage and added debuff when they're dealt their face-up card. Now for his missile, I've given him Concussion missiles. They have an attack value of 4. They need to be used at range 2 to 3, and they state, spend your target lock and discard this card to perform this attack. You may change one of your blank results to a hit result. So Concussion missiles work very similarly to Proton Torpedoes, but they apply only to blank results. So with Concussion missiles, because you spend your target lock, you won't be able to reroll if you have any. You won't be able to spend another one to reroll and change any of your blanks to hit results. But with Concussion missiles, if you fire them and you have, say, 2 hits and a blank, you can change that 1 blank to a another hit result, giving you a total of 3. So yeah, Concussion missiles are very similar to Protons, but they kind of work differently in the sense that Protons take advantage of focuses and Concussion missiles take advantage of blanks. And then, of course, for his bomb, I've also given him Seismic charges, which, again, you reveal your maneuver dial, you drop the charge, you fly off, and then any ship at range 1 when it detonates suffers 1 damage, be it shield or hull. So yeah, this is my Scimitar Squadron build. A very powerful build, I must say. Its advantages are the fact that they're bombers, so They can take quite a bit of punishment, but they're also decently agile. I mean, they're more agile than the Y-Wings and the B-Wings. So they have that going against them. And they can also perform one more action. They can also perform a barrel action, so that helps for getting them out of sticky situations. The warheads and missiles and bombs I've given these guys make them quite powerful. And the squadron leader ability allows Major Rhymer to allow his Scimitar bombers, to perform one free action before they move. However, I've just come up with an alternative. Rather than use Squadron Leader, instead use Deadeye. Deadeye will have 1 point less. Deadeye costs 1 point less to put in with instead of Squadron Leader, and allows you to substitute your target loss for focuses when using secondaries. So, yeah, say oh wait, okay, I've seen. Never mind, I see the flaw. But it's your choice. You can either use Deadeye or you can use the Squadron Leader. You can use whatever you want. It's your choice. But for this build, I've chosen Squadron Leader because it takes advantage of teamwork for allowing his bombers to get into better firing positions or out of the line of fire before they move. And of course, with the munitions failsafes that they have, their warheads and missiles are safe as long as they don't, as long as they're able to keep their warheads and missiles as long as they don't hit. However, bombs do not count as secondaries. So, if you drop your bomb and they don't hit, you lose that bomb. Munitions failsafe does not cover bombs. It covers warheads and missiles only. And bombs do, it covers secondary weapons, and seismic charges do not count as secondaries. Now, yeah, again, adding to the strengths of this build is Major Rhymer's ability, because while his Scimitar pilots have to obey the rules of their secondaries when it comes to range, Major Rhymer can change those rules by increasing or decreasing the range of his secondaries when the situation calls for it. So if you're at range 1 and you want to use your Flechettes, you can use his ability to decrease the range from range 2 to 3 to range 1 to 2, and so on. If you're farther away and you want to use your advanced Proton Torpedoes, you can increase the range from 1 to 2, for allowing for more options when using your secondaries. And again, with the munitions failsafe, as long as your attacks don't hit, you keep the munitions until they actually do hit. Now, I'd say the build's weaknesses, they're bombers. Plain and simple. They are meant to take hits. They are not meant to be able to evade enemy fire. So if there are any obstacles on the field, you're probably going to be relying on those a lot to get yourselves those agility bonuses, because enemies firing from, and if you're behind an obstacle and an enemy fires on you, then you get an agility value bonus because they're flying through an obstacle. It's especially useful if you're flying at range 3, because then you get the agility value bonus from the range and from the obstacle. So, yeah, these guys, while as powerful as they are, and can take take a heavy payload, they're still bombers. They're not exactly the most fragile ship, and even though they have a bit more of maneuverability, they have 2 hit points less than a Y-Wing or a B-Wing. So, yeah, they can take a fair amount of hits, but not too much. Anyway, so this is my Scimitar Squadron build. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Any constructive criticism is greatly appreciated. If you like, you may use this build in competitive or casual play, or you can tweak it, or modify it, or completely revamp it to your own specifications. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Corbin22, and I'll see you guys next time.